It is generally known human trafficking is a process where the victim itself were being exploited for the economic gain. Veritable, human trafficking can happen anywhere or everywhere, whether it within the country itself or across the border. Proliferation, human trafficking issues has been quietly used the sea as the main road for the transaction to happen. The sea geography was hard to be defined clearly, and it could easily influenced by a different factor. The sea is something that can't be predicted easily. The risk and danger that it held were masked by the quiet surface. The issues of trafficking itself is a complex issues, and adding the sea making it more complicated to be handled.
Hi.
How can I help you?
I just want to ask something. Just now I was watching a video regarding human trafficking. So I thought, I need a few more information. So, do you know anything about human trafficking? Actually, I'm researching regarding on Mediterranean and South China Sea. So if you could give me some information regarding that, would be helpful.
Oh, so you want to know about Mediterranean Sea, right? I mean, human traffic on Mediterranean Sea. So I'm gonna start by stating what is there around the Mediterranean Sea. So there are like 21 nations. We call it like borderline nations, which consist of 21 different nations. So the example are like Libya, Spain, Egypt, Tunisia, Israel, and there are a whole lot more actually. So these borderline nations actually they give the traffickers and the smugglers a chance to smuggle human on Mediterranean Sea, because as you can see, Mediterranean Sea is the sea route that used by these smugglers and traffickers to bring humans or people, or the one that needies, right? The one that's been in a very terrible place.
Means like from a very extreme place of poverty.
Yeah.
Okay.
From, you know what? Egypt is an important place for these smugglers and traffickers because it is the hub of this transition from Horn of Africa to Europe or Israel.
Wait a minute. What's Horn of Africa?
Oh, Horn of Africa. Wait, I show you. Wait, Yeah. This is Horn of Africa. It is consists of Djibouti, Eritrea, and Somalia.
Last year, about 180,000 succeeded. But this year, those numbers have plummeted.
I don't think these guys know that this is a Libyan coast guard, but they're not going to be headed to Europe today.
I did some research, so I've written a report. So actually, all of your points do help me. So I'll explain a bit more about Mediterranean Sea, especially. So in terms of Mediterranean Sea, I'll be talking about Italy. Like you've talked about Egypt, so I'll touch a bit about European continent. So Italy is actually a point of convergence between the European continent and other regions of the Mediterranean Sea, from which intense human trafficking take place. Italy has enacted a domestic legislation, domestic law, prohibiting the exploitation of human beings in its different modalities, including prostitution and other forms of human exploitation, like personal abuse, sort of like that. So normally the vulnerable local population have been the frequent target of human trafficking activities. The phenomenon of human trafficking solely for the purpose of sexual exploitation in Italy. Primarily, the central Mediterranean route remains an important route for the asylum seekers, like I told before, what happens in Egypt, it happens in Europe too. But it's also an important route for those who are not necessarily refugees. Central Mediterranean route, if you take that, the route has become the most used route to the European Union from the North Africa in recent years. The seekers, the asylum seekers, often embark on a dangerous journey, departing from the North Africa and reach Europe through the Mediterranean Sea. As a result, most of the migrants from the sub-Saharan desert and North Africa transit through Libya that encourage the trafficking networking in Libya. So move from Italy to Libya to Egypt, actually interconnected. So Mediterranean Sea basically a short route for the traffickers to exploit North Africa and European continent at the same time. In terms of Libya, Libya would be an easy target apart from Europe. It could be, say, the destination country for the purpose forced labor and commercial sexual exploitation. As migrants face dire living and working conditions in Libya, extreme poverty, they are forced to attempt the sea crossing, Mediterranean Sea, to reach safety in Europe. This, of course, an irregular and dangerous migration, which is not supported by the government itself, but actually it is managed by the smugglers. Means they promise to the workers and people who would desperately want safety to move out from a country which really doesn't support them economically, socially, or politically. Libya would be say the destination country for the purpose forced labor and commercial sexual exploitation. The violence and abuse are increasingly frequent, and armed groups find human beings an extremely profitable source of money. Apart from Libya, Nigeria. Sadly to say, Nigerian women and girls arriving by the sea are likely to be the victims of trafficking for sexual exploitation in Italy.
So that's cool actually. So for the South China Sea, I think maybe you should refer to Fina and what's another girl? Oh, Humaira. Yeah, they're at Kais now. You should go there now.
Oh, I think I'll better go now because I need more information.
Okay.
Because South China Sea is also an important route for human trafficking.
Yeah, I know. So, bye.
Thank you.
Over 20.9 million men, women, and children are victims of human trafficking. But do you know what human trafficking actually is? In a small sleepy town, people are dreaming. But not everyone's dreams will come true. Human traffickers prey on people's dreams and lure them away for their own benefit. How do they do this? Human trafficking doesn't happen all of a sudden. It's a process. First, traffickers act. This includes recruiting victims, transporting them to the place where they'll be exploited, hiding them from authorities, and receiving victims from other traffickers. So why don't the victims run away or say no? Because traffickers use different means. This includes threatening or forcing victims to do what they want, abducting or deceiving the victims, and abusing power. Sometimes traffickers promise small payments or benefits to get the victim to cooperate. And why are the traffickers doing this? The purpose of trafficking is exploitation. Traffickers take advantage of victims for their own profit or benefit.
Hi. Okay. I want to ask you guys something regarding. I was just searching for a few videos lah. Then I saw a video about human trafficking. So I thought you might be knew something about this thing lah. So I just want to know more about human trafficking.
Like recently, I've watched a few videos on YouTube, and then I've discovered like a few causes, but I only know the cause from the South China Sea. The first is the geographical factor, that is the state location. The strategic location allow for many access. As usual, if the state located surrounded by the sea, it will be an easy access for the state. Example for Indonesia and Thailand. Okay, the road is like this. The Thailand, they will pass the victim through Malaysia, Vietnam, and then from there they will use the destination as a transit. After that, they will use the South China Sea and go through Indonesia from that.
So how about you, Myra? I mean, do you have any other more to add? Because I'm still finding for a few information.
Well, I think one of the causes of human trafficking in South China Sea is the number of sea in the country. For example, Philippines have 7,641 islands, which make the authorities hard to secure the water. The victim were trafficked inside the country and to other countries. The problem was that when local politicians and mayors allowed the operation of club and bar that used to drain as locals as sexual communities. Philippines had become one of the contributors for sex trafficking and forced labours around the globe.
Do you know, Tarani, there's a few effects that I've also found in this thing. The first effect is because of the prostitution tourism activity will increase in the area. As I said earlier, Thailand was known for its the main country for its sex industry, and then Bangkok as the capital activity will end up creating more lucrative market to double up the profit gain. As we know, like human trafficking were more profitable than the smuggling activity, and then this will increase the sex demand in the Bangkok, and the activity will become more active. Not only this will add up to social problem, but this will end up creating more bad image for the country itself. So what do you think of other effect in this thing?
Well, I think the problem also will up to a lot of social problems, such as the number of refugees will increase and multiple health problems. Well, the victim will need to seek help from the country that they will traffic to in order to protect themselves, and this will add up the number of refugees in the countries. Well, commonly, unsafe sex also will lead to multiple health problems like HIV and AIDS, or gonorrhea, which is a common STD for child prostitute in Philippines.
To conclude this video, human trafficking at sea were often labeled as unseen issues. This is because it is harder to control, especially when it involves a most vast area. Even with all the solutions suggest, it does not mean that human trafficking issues could be controlled, because it is not as simply as enacting a new rule or new laws or signing another conventions could eventually stop it.